Charlie, come on up, man. Commissioner Charlie Garcia from Colorado Parks and Wildlife. Long time coming to this point, you know. In Colorado, we treasure our outdoors. More than that, our outdoor areas are really what define us as Coloradans, who we are, why we live here. Now, we know that a big part of that is federal land. Upwards of 40% of our state, federal land, U.S. Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management. We have some great national parks. We have great areas to visit. But we also have a treasured portfolio of about 3 million acres of public land. It's school trust land. It's land that's held by Colorado Parks and Wildlife and other departments of the state government. That's in addition to county open space. For visitation, we all rely on our network of 42 state parks. We're at Golden Gate State Park now. Now, it's a little foggy today, but the future of our state parks is far from foggy. It's bright, thanks to the efforts of Representative Will, Representative Tipper, Senator Fenberg, and Senator Donovan. I also want to thank Senator Story, whose district that we are in. And host, what's that?
My bill too.
No, not this one.
Oh, not this
No, this, yes. That's okay. We got your bill too. But this is her district.
Sorry.
So I want to thank Representative Will, who was a multi-decade veteran of Colorado Parks and Wildlife, for his work, and now really setting up Colorado Parks and Wildlife for success in the future. And really, this bill is about access. It's about decreasing the annual fee for a parks pass from $80 to under $30 in just 18 months. Is when that price decrease will take effect. Now, that's more than just saving Coloradans money, which it is. It's also about access. It's about families that can't afford $80 but can't afford $30, getting their enjoyment out of coming to Golden Gate, out of coming to Lake Pueblo, out of coming to our newest iconic state park at Fisher's Peak. I want to thank the leaders at DNR and CPW, including Executive Director Dan Gibbs, Dan Prenslow, the Colorado Wildlife Federation, Conserve Colorado, the Nature Conservancy, the Trust for Public Lands, CCAT, Western Conservation, the Wilderness Society, Bird Conservancy, Sierra Club, 14ers Initiative, Colorado's for Responsible Wildlife Management, GOCO, Rocky Mountain Innovation Lab staff. You know it's a big bill when you're thanking so many people. U.S. Forest Service staff. And by the way, there's the potential to build in federal visitation rights into the state pass too, all at that same low price of under $30. So we are beginning those negotiations with the U.S. Forest Service, and they were very excited to hear about this. And I think we're going to find a willing federal partner in building in additional benefits for federal visitation into this pass. Department of Revenue staff, Western Resources Advocates, IMBA, that's the mountain bikers, and Department of Revenue, and so many others. Our parks and public lands are the backbone of our state, and the Keep Colorado Wild Pass will save people money and create a reliable, sustainable funding source for a healthier future, for our wild outdoor areas, for ourselves, and for our economy. In particular, I want to thank the team at DNR, the strong leadership of Majority Leader Steve Fenberg, whose leadership is evident in the incredible strong bipartisan support that this bill enjoyed. I want to thank Senator Donovan for her leadership on these issues, Representative Tipper and Will for their bipartisan leadership in the House to show a real way forward to save people money, to improve funding. It's my belief that this law and the investments it makes, the people that we serve in the outdoor Colorado, will be positively transformational for our state, for our public lands and environment, and for the enjoyment of today's and tomorrow's Coloradans. Our state should be proud of this significant achievement that prepares Colorado for success. With that, I will pass it over to Majority Leader Steve Fenberg.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you for your leadership on public lands in Colorado. What a beautiful view it is up here, huh? I think there are some mountains back there somewhere. We'll all come back someday and celebrate the great things that this bill is going to do for our public lands. As the governor said, it's great to be here at one of Colorado's 42 beautiful world-class state parks. We're so lucky to have so much public land to enjoy in our state. It's really a luxury that we take for granted sometimes, but it is an amazing asset for our state and our economy. However, as the governor also said, not all Coloradans feel like they can enjoy our great outdoors. For too many, recreating and enjoying our public lands is something that other people do. Now, because of this bill, coupled with the Outdoor Equity Grant, which was just signed earlier today, we're bringing the great outdoors within reach and making our state parks more accessible for everyone. Simply put, the Keep Colorado Wild Pass is one of the single most impactful things we've done as a state to protect our public lands. And I'm proud that we're doing it in a way that actually makes those public lands more accessible for everyone. I want to thank the team that worked to find this innovative solution to not only increase funding for our public lands, but to do it in a way that actually decreases the costs on families across our state. Thank you to CPW, DNR, especially Dan Gibbs. Even a Speaker of the House showed up all the way out here, Mark Ferrandino, to help us get this done. And thank you so much. I saw Doug somewhere. There you are. And Alice, this would be a great place to have a baby, wouldn't it? How memorable would that be? We'll get you down the mountain as soon as possible. So thank you all for letting me be a part of this really amazing bill that is going to have such an impact for Colorado and for future generations. This is such a needed bill because our public lands in a lot of ways have been overloved over the last 18 months or so, and it has been more and more obvious that we need to support our public lands more so they can stay around and be in this beautiful state for us for generations, and also so that we can, as we were saying, make our public lands more accessible to everybody. As we emerge from the pandemic and continue to encourage folks to swap out their screens and their Zoom meetings for in-person activities with friends and family, we should boast Colorado state parks and public lands as the destination. Put the screen away and come out and enjoy our public lands. And this pass, the Keep Colorado Wild Pass, is going to make that an opportunity for more people and for generations to come. So I'm so excited to see it implemented to bring down costs and increase access to our public lands and continue the tradition that we have had here in Colorado. So thank you, Governor, for your leadership. Thank you to everybody who made this a reality. And next, Representative Perry Will.
Thank you, and thanks, Governor, for your words on this bill. And I want to thank everyone that worked on it. This is a great bill. It's kind of amazing. We need this, all the infrastructure and FTEs and everything to do this within CPW. And so to get this across the finish line was just very exciting for me. And I'm so honored to be a part of it. And especially as the governor mentioned, my background and where I came from before I became a state legislator. These are all these uniformed guys are all my friends, and I've known them forever, and I'm so happy to be able to do something for them and to do something for our state parks. And I brought my granddaughters. It's all about the youth, and they know about getting outdoors, but not everyone does. And so I think it's going to be a great thing for Colorado, a great thing for all of Coloradans. So couldn't be happier. I'll keep my words at a minimum, but this is a great bill, and I'm so happy to be involved with it. And I had a great co-prime in the House. Representative Tipper.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Governor, for your leadership and just generally your commitment to and love for the lands here in Colorado. It was an absolute joy to work on this bill with Representative Will, because in many ways, and we talked about this even during the committee hearing, this bill is sort of the culmination of his legacy professionally, and then, as he said, bringing his granddaughters here today, his further legacy, what we all care about here in Colorado, the things that we love the most, really making an investment that's sustainable, that is a value statement, I believe, in what, like I said, we care about most here in Colorado. So for me, it was an absolute honor to be on this bill as a representative from Lakewood. We are guilty of loving Chatfield State Park, El Dorado State Park to death. And so this is a very modest, it's not modest, it's actually an incredible investment in our future here in Colorado. And I just want to say I have so much gratitude for Alice Cosgrove, who is very, very pregnant, but was at the legislature every day getting this bill across the line. And we had some tough moments. Representative Will, we could not have done this without you, your leadership, with the members of your caucus and the governor's team as well. So thank you all for being here for this historic day and for letting us be a small piece of it.
All right. Anything, Gibbs?
Hey everyone, I'm Dan Gibbs, the Executive Director of the Department of Natural Resources. Really want to thank the sponsors, Senator Fenberg, Representative Tipper, and Representative Will. I also want to thank Senator Kerry Donovan, who wasn't able to be here today as well. This bill is really the product of many years of stakeholding and really dedication to look at big picture what we need for the state of Colorado. So the Keep Colorado Wild Pass will ensure Colorado's private and public lands support wildlife, outdoor recreation, agricultural heritage, and economic well-being for generations to come. At no time in Colorado has the need for action been more apparent than over this past year, when we've seen a dramatic increase in visitation and its impact on our natural resources. Over the last decade, we've seen increased park staffing by 4.4 FTE, while at the same time, parks visitation has increased by 4.7 million. And just last year, we saw parks visitation go up. I think we're at about 19 million altogether. We've seen El Dorado Canyon State Park, just right down the street, more or less, go from 200,000 visitors to about 500,000 just over a couple years. And Mark Leslie just mentioned that right here at Golden Gate, we've seen about 30 to 35% increase over the last year. So it's very much needed. This bill is very special because it will not only allow us to reduce the costs and barriers to entry into our state parks and our public lands, but also improve the experience for all. This bill will allow us to build new state parks, build and maintain trails, have resources to engage in conservation and recreation management on federal lands, support equity, diversity, and inclusion through CPW, support our state wildlife action plan, and invest in local and regional ideas for planning and developing conservation and outdoor recreation opportunities. Governor, I'm really grateful for your leadership. You've been very bullish from day one to really support this. Want to give a special thank you to our core group. You all know who you are. Doug Vilsack, Alice Cosgrove, Jonathan Asher, Tim Mock, Lauren Truitt, Dan Prinzlow, and a special thanks to Lisa Kaufman, who early on, before the campaign even kicked off, there was a pipe dream about really working on this big picture. So really thank you for your leadership as well. And yeah, thank you, everyone. And with that, I think I introduced Dan Prinzlow, the Director of Colorado Parks and Wildlife.
All right, thank you. Good news on blast. The governor gets to sign, so I'm going to go off script and just say I'm really excited about this day. This is a monumental moment for Colorado Parks and Wildlife, for us to continue to provide for our mission for all Coloradoans. And the reality, as we all know, this will make access to state parks easier, cheaper, broader based, right? And now we're going to deliver for the rest of Coloradoans. And everybody gets to play a part because we're a user fee agency, and this will help with that for us, for the amount of people coming into Colorado and living here and recreating, they need and want places like Golden Gate Canyon State Park. So we're excited about that. I really appreciate that. My partner in crime, Doug, we had a quick conversation, and here we end. So for that, a shout out for Doug. So thank you, and Governor, thank you for your support.
Thank you. exciting day. Are we ready? Okay, here we go. It's officially the law of the state of Colorado. Keep Colorado wild. Here we go. There you are. That's for Carrie Donovan. Congratulations, everybody. And the good news keeps coming. Now comes the 25 million. So, ready? All right. Stay up here. We got another one here for the 25 million. That's okay. This is your bill.
You were looking across us and you said Carrie Donovan. I was like, oh.
That was her. Yeah.
All right. So the good news keeps on coming. Woo. So for a lot of the same reasons that Senator Fenberg and Director Gibbs and Director Prenzler articulated, since we have a lot more visitation on our great public lands, we can create jobs with directing some one-time stimulus funds to opening new state parks. Earlier this year at Chatfield Reservoir, I signed the bill that led to improvements in existing state parks, more parking, more campsites, a new boathouse at Chatfield. This new $25 million will not only help us open several new state parks, which it will, it'll also increase our safety in our wild areas, and that's been a big priority for our Department of Natural Resources Director, Dan Gibbs, Department of Public Safety Director as well, Stan Hilke. $750,000 to support backcountry avalanche safety. $2.25 million for search and rescue in consultation with local backcountry search and rescue. And in addition to that, it's $14 million for state parks and new development, $17.5 million for that's a total of $17.5 million for the Parks and Outdoor Recreation Craft Fund, $3.5 million for maintenance, $14 million for new state parks. In addition to that, $3.5 million for the Wildlife Cash Fund, and $1 million for the Outdoor Equity Fund, which the other bill I signed today sets up the ongoing resources for, which get the $3 million after 3 years. But I believe that bill was funded out of that bill with $750,000 for the next year, and this does a one-time plus up for equity. So this is a great stimulus bill because it creates jobs in the great outdoors, right? When we're talking about building new state parks, we're talking about trail work, we're talking about road work, and we're talking about long-term benefit for the people of Colorado. 42 state parks simply ain't enough for a state our size. And we have other outdoor treasures that we will forge the partnerships and make the investments needed to welcome even more people to Colorado's great outdoors. I want to thank DNR staff, Parks and Wildlife Commission members. We're joined by Charlie Garcia, Commissioner Garcia, who's behind me, Colorado Wildlife Federation, Conserve Colorado, the Nature Conservancy, and we're joined by their CEO, Carlos Fernandez, Trust for Public Lands, CCAT, Western Conservation, Wilderness Society, Bird Conservancy, Sierra Club. We're joined by Representative Sierra Club, 14ers Initiative staff, CO for Colorado for Responsible Wildlife Management, GOCO, American Whitewater staff, Department of Revenue. We're joined by Mark Ferrandino, Western Resources, IMBA, and DOR. Really, all these bills that we're signing today work together. They work together to increase access to the great outdoors and create even more amazing opportunities for people to have fun in Colorado's amazing outdoors. This bill is sponsored by Representative McLaughlin, Representative Will, and Senator Story, and we'll turn it over to Representative Will.
Thanks again. This has kind of been a banner year for CPW, and that excites me. And I thank you for that, Governor. And he said about the stimulus money here. This couldn't be better spent in the state of Colorado. And I love being on this bill. I know it's going to do a lot of good for Colorado, and it's going to do a lot of good for Coloradans. And that's what I do at the legislature. If it's good for Colorado and good for Coloradans, and then also West Slope. I keep track of the West Slope, but No, exciting bill. Really excited to be on it, and thank everyone for the support. You know, I mentioned the search and rescue and outdoor equity. I just couldn't get any further on board, and with the avalanche, I just couldn't get any further on board than what this bill does. So, thank you very much, and I appreciate it, Governor. Thank you.
Senator Story.
Thank you, Governor. It's a pleasure to be here. I am really honored to have an opportunity to be a part of one of the bills in this big package for Colorado Parks and Wildlife. You've heard this morning about the equity access bill and the Keep Colorado Wild bill that was just discussed. It's going to be great to have opportunities for more people to get out here in our public lands, and they certainly were out here a lot in the last year. The visitation numbers were up tremendously. You heard about some of those numbers a minute ago. But we also have to have investments in infrastructure and parking lot, basic things, parking lots, restrooms, having more staff available to assist the wealth of people that are going to be here visiting. And so this bill is really going to help in that regard. We've got to have the people and the facilities to be able to better manage the crowds that are coming and have been here. So I'm really looking forward to having that as a part of this, this whole package. I'm a longtime outdoor advocate. I was camping in my earliest days with my family. I'm a hiker, a backpacker, a whitewater enthusiast, a whitewater boater, a raft guide, all of those things. My husband is a career National Park Service employee, and I live and breathe it all the time, and it's great to be here at this spot. I've never been here before. We'll definitely have to come back and enjoy the view in a different way. But I want to thank all of you for being here and all the partners that gathered together to help make this a reality. And thanks so much, Governor, for supporting this effort.
Dan Gibbs.
Great. Thank you, Senator Story, Representative Will, for your leadership on working on this bill. It's definitely been a tremendous year for the Department of Natural Resources. The one-time funding within H.Bill 1326 will serve as a much-needed jumpstart for our state parks and public lands that have seen record visitation numbers that I shared with you just a few minutes ago. The $25 million allocated in this bill serves as a critical bridge as for the DNR and Parks and Wildlife to work to implement long-term funding solutions to improve our parks, like right here at Golden Gate State Park. And they've seen a huge increased numbers too of visitation. I'd like to give a special thank to our park manager here, Todd Farrell. Let's give Todd a round of applause for his great work here. I know you've worked hard to put all this together, so thank you so much. The funding will address the needs of our backcountry search and rescue teams as well, who saw a record number of rescues last summer, as well as our colleagues at the Avalanche Information Center. So also let's thank Jeff Sparhart, the head of Colorado Search and Rescue, who's just a tireless folk at the state capitol, and Ethan Green, the head of Colorado Avalanche Information Center. The last 2 years have been really challenging, to say the least, and Ethan, thank you for your leadership as well. HB 1326 will be able to provide funding for our non-game species, from Gunnison sage grouse to the boreal toad, and species that make Colorado so special. The bill also creates seed money for the Outdoor Equity Fund that the governor just signed just a few minutes ago at a previous location, providing over $700,000 to help jump that START program that will be really important to look at creating new generations of outdoor recreationists in Colorado from underserved communities. So with that, thank you so much, and maybe just on behalf of Dan Prinzel as well, this is very exciting, but Dan and folks at CPW have a lot of work on their hands to really, and that's a good problem to have, to really look at the key priority projects around the state to get these projects off the ground, these one-time funds immediately. So thanks again. And Governor?
Great. We also want to thank Representative McLaughlin, Representative Byrd, Senator Bridges, and Senator Buckner for their great work on this bipartisan stimulus bill. And with that, we'll make it the law of Colorado. It's officially the law of Colorado. Congratulations.